Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. Be sure to check me out over on Rumble. There you'll find all of my stuff from YouTube, plus my political and social commentary and weekly current events, which YouTube frowns on. Links to my Rumble channel, as well as my other YouTube channels, and links to let you order my books are in the description of this video. If you enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Now, on with the video. Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons & Dragons advice video on Magical Treasure. Before I get into that, however, I'm gonna tell you, I hope everybody had a really great Christmas and a happy New Year. I hope the New Year brings nothing but blessings for everybody who watches this video and everybody else for that matter. I also want to tell you about a book that I just got published called The House Off Farago Road. It's available at Amazon.com. It's the author's name is H.L. Anderson. That's me. It's just a fun story about a house where the denizens are not quite normal. Mythological creatures and supernatural forces commingle with modern-day law enforcement and the criminal underworld. If the quirky weird piques your interest, check out The House Off Farago Road, available on Amazon. Now, on with the video. Magical Treasure. I've been playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons since the 70s. I've been running it since 1979, and all that time I have seen and used a plethora of different magic items in the game. We're going to take a little bit of different tact here. Who remembers the very first time in-game when you slew a big bad and liberated your first magic item from the dead foe? Do you remember the wonder, the excitement, the mystery of trying to figure out exactly what the treasure item was? What that treasured item was? All right, I'm going to shatter a lot of illusions here. But believe me, I would not divulge this bit of history without a good reason. I want to use it to contrast what should and should not be done. When I first started, I was playing with a guy named Bill, and Bill was, oh my God, a bad dungeon master. He was really bad. You could write a book on how not to be a dungeon master by playing with him. Okay. The first time I killed a foe and took his magic sword, as I recall, Bill, the crappy dungeon master that we had, said, "You find a +1 sword." I asked, what do you mean +1? I was new. This is the first time I ever played, right? I said, what do you mean +1? He replied, "It's a magic sword." That was it. My friend Jesse, another player in that game, explained what it was and how it worked. My first experience acquiring a magic sword was accompanied by the wonder, excitement, and mystery reserved for a Spam sandwich. I resolved all those years ago that in my games, magic would be special, and my players would never have to endure that level of ho-hum revelation. A fancy sword may or may not be magical. One will need to use Detect Magic, Identify, and possibly other spells to determine exactly what it is. I've done videos on that. As a dungeon master, mystery is your ally. When a player has to work to discover exactly what they've acquired, it has more value. If the magic items all have labels and the player characters automatically know what each item is, you're robbing your players of a huge part of the game. Years ago, I'll give you an example here. Years ago, one of my players got exceedingly lucky in combat with one of my major henchmen. Out of 6 rounds of combat, that little twerp rolled 5 critical strikes. My henchman was dead before he could retreat. Consequently, he got the villain's sword. The little twerp got the villain's sword. I'd worked the sword up as an intelligent sword that resisted being identified. It provided false information when the wizard tried to identify it, and over time, the sword was able to possess the player and turn his alignment to lawful evil. The sad part is that he was the de facto party leader. As the sword slowly supplanted his identity and turned him evil, the rest of the players simply didn't notice. Eventually, the player characters ended up working for the big bad villain, and they didn't even know it. When they were ordered to attack a monastery to retrieve an artifact, several of the players snapped and the jig was up. I mean, You're ordered to do this and this and that, and eventually, wait a minute, why are we doing this? That kind of thing. The time from the henchman's defeat to the players figuring out that what was going on, as I recall, was something like 3 months in real time, in almost a year in game time. Through subtle manipulation and gentle persuasion, I was able, and by the way, we were playing 3 times a week at the time, so just so you know. Through subtle manipulation and gentle persuasion, I was able to convince the leader to sink further and further into evil, and by default, he dragged the entire group down with him. See how that works? Basic magic items still need to be identified, but won't generally resist it. To resist being identified, the item has to either be intelligent or house or imprison something intelligent. It can't just be a normal magic item. The particular sword in question was created by a smith who was also a wizard. He was able to sacrifice 5 master swordsmen and infuse the metal with their essence. The wizard got the vision, the wizard that tried to identify the sword, got the vision of 5 throats being slit and the blood flowing into a vat of molten metal. The wizard then sacrificed a highly evil and intelligent prince, the guy who created the sword, then sacrificed a highly evil and intelligent prince and infused his essence into the metal as well. The effect was that the sword was evil and intelligent. It was a +3 weapon that improved the user's armor class by 2. It also made the user fight as though he was 5 levels higher. Unfortunately, the prince slowly asserted control over the wielder, and the prince was a real son of a bitch, let me tell you. To save the group leader, they had to separate him from the sword, and they ended up chopping his arm off to get the sword away from him. This not only generated a hell of a story arc, but motivated the group to really go after the major villain and to stop him. It's much better than you find a +1 sword, isn't it? You see what I'm saying? Your game is what you make it. Your players rely on you to create everything, the entire world, the feelings in the game. And I know that's a lot to wrap your mind around, but it's there. Your players will enjoy the mystery much more than just, oh, you found a +1 sword. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Again, I'm not trying to tell you how to play your game, how to run your game. I'm just trying to give advice from a guy who's been doing this a long damn time. And I want everybody to enjoy playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all. We elect cookie-cutter politicians every single election cycle. Yes men who maintain the status quo and do just enough to make us believe the system still works. Imagine, if you will, a president who actually tries to fix things. If you like action, political intrigue, and a righteous crusade, check out my political thriller, The Righteous President.